Hi guys, in today's tutorial we will see that how to create this digital watch, and this watch is automatically updating the time to our local system. And in this was all code that we have seen in our previous video, and this was the output that we have seen in our previous video. And in our previous video we have seen that whenever we click on this button, we will see that the value of that time is updated every time whenever we click on that button. First of all, let me tell you that how can we do that. This was all the code that we have done in our previous tutorial, and I am going to remove all that code. I have also removed here. So first of all, I have to create here h1 tag, and here inside h1 tag I have to show something like any variable. Here I am just using let val is equal to new date, and here I have to write dot to local time string, and here I have to create it as function, and I have to display this val in h1 text control s, and you can see that there is still no output. The reason is because we didn't use any return type in this function, and the value that the function would be that the function would return would be used as output on the screen control s, and you can see that the time is showing here, but it is not updated every time with unless and until we refresh this page. But I want this value would be updated automatically. Now how can I do that? To basically do that, first of all I have to use a hook statement, which is useState hook statement, and secondly we have to create a function which would be updated and called after some intervals of time, and this updated function would basically update the values of hooks. Here I have to write hooks concept that we have been watching since my previous two videos, const, and here I have to write val and upd val, and here I am using useState, and inside this useState I have to pass this value basically, and I am going to write this value at the uppercase at the top of hooks, but it doesn't matter, it would still work if you use it at the instant bottom type. So now you will see that this basically val is still showing the same output control s, and you can see that it is still showing the output. Whenever we refresh this page, the value is refreshed. Now how can we automatically refresh these hooks in such a way that every time the time would updated by our local device automatically? So first of all I have to use here a function, and whenever this function would be called, this function basically would update the value of hooks every time. So let me update the value, and here I am using equal sign new, and I have to write uppercase date, and inside date we have two local time string, and this is also a function, and let me update the value upd update value, and inside update value we have to use where. Where is nothing but just a variable that is looking at the top. And in our previous video I have told you that why we cannot use this val to update this variable basically here. So we have always to use inside a function, and we have to pass a new value here, and I have told all the things in my previous video. So now whenever I call that function, you will see that every time the value is updated basically. I am just creating first a button so that you may to know that how basically the function is calling and working. So one thing that I have missed here, this is React fragments, and I have told all these React fragments and all the other things in my previous tutorials. Control V and Control S. First of all, I have to call the function here whenever I click on that button, and we don't need to write here parentheses, and I have also told you the reason in my previous video. Whenever I click on that button, you can see that the value is updated basically. So in our this tutorial we basically don't need this button. We have to update the value automatically. Now what can we do that this time basically is updated automatically? In React.js we have a function which is known as set intervals, and after set intervals it is basically calling, let me create here, let me remove all that code first, and here I have to use a set interval. You can see that we have all the set interval and other commands here. I am just using set intervals, and inside set intervals I have to call fun, and after every 1000 milliseconds, Control S, and now you can see that the time is basically updated by the system automatically, and this time is same as we have in our system and is automatically updated to our local device. So we have just used set interval here, which is a JavaScript function, and this JavaScript function would call this function after this interval of milliseconds. So you can see that in seconds this function is called again and again, and it is updated by the system. So this was all about today.